Hey guys, Neely here. I'm coming in today to talk about adrenal fatigue and about my story of dealing with my adrenal fatigue and how I've continued to deal with it, because it's kind of one of those things where once you have it, you don't necessarily just get healed of it and never have to think about it again. It's kind of something you have to maintain, kind of similar to weight loss. You can't just heal your weight loss and then it not be an issue anymore, and that's what I'm finding with adrenal fatigue. You have to continue with the habits that you create to maintain your recovery from adrenal fatigue. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. I have a lot of people that ask me about adrenal fatigue and how I dealt with mine, and I point them to a playlist that I put together of kind of my journal, my vlog journal through that as I went to different doctor's appointments and stuff and gave health updates, and I will put that up in the cards if you want to check that out. And so that's kind of a longer version, because it's just a bunch of different videos that I didn't have a clear picture in my head of what I was doing or where I was going at that point. It's just kind of following me along as I was getting it figured out. So definitely, if you have more time, check that out. But I wanted to do a video on just like an overview of everything that I did, so it can all be in one place. So if you just want the facts and the details of everything I did, you can find that in this video here. So I'm not going to be talking about what exactly adrenal fatigue is. I'm not a doctor. I don't have, I feel like, the ability to explain all that. There's so much information online, and I'm going to be talking about a couple of books, 3 books that I recommend if you're struggling with adrenal fatigue. So definitely, if you want the information of what it is exactly, don't look to this video. I'm just going to be sharing with you what I did and kind of how I discovered I had adrenal issues, and what I did and what was recommended by my doctor to fix those, and kind of what progress I've made so far. So I'm definitely not prescribing anything for anybody else to do. I'm not a doctor at all. All I'm doing is sharing the information from my experience, and so you can, take whatever you feel like is applicable to you and go on from there. So back in April last year, so almost a year ago now, about 10 months, I was having issues and I decided to go see my doctor, and the symptoms that I was having that prompted me to go see my doctor. At this point, I was not aware that I had adrenal fatigue. All I knew is that I've had, 3 babies in a very short amount of time. My first, we waited 5 years after I had her, and then I had 3 right in a row, every 2 years about. So I just knew that I was struggling, losing baby weight, and not feeling my best. And so I went in to see my doctor, and the basic symptoms that I had, and adrenal fatigue symptoms can be different for everybody. There's a whole spectrum, and so just the ones that were affecting me, I didn't feel like I had fatigue. Like, I didn't feel like I just couldn't make it through the day, or I was so tired, or I couldn't get up in the morning. That wasn't my problem. So when I did discover that I had adrenal fatigue, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting, because it's not like I'm tired all the time. I mean, I didn't have the most amazing energy ever, but I have 4 kids, so I mean, it just made sense. So anyways, fatigue wasn't my number one issue, but I did have some sleep difficulties, and mainly they were falling asleep at night. I would lie in bed and just be woken up or jolted awake at any tiny sound. So I was having to make sure everyone in the house was in bed whenever I was going to bed, and give strict instructions if they weren't in bed when I went to bed, that they needed to only talk in whispers and super quiet. And it was just really obnoxious. It was hard to fall asleep, and then I just find myself waking up. And when it was really bad, it wasn't bad very often, but when it occasionally I'd have a night where it was just I'd fall asleep and then get jolted awake and fall asleep, and that just went on all night long. And it was, sleep problems are awful. It's just, sleep is so important. And so I definitely struggled with that. And then extra weight. I just had baby weight that I wasn't able to get off. I had my last baby in July, and it took me so I had her in July, and then I went to see my doctor in April. So that was, 3/4 of a year there. And I had not lost any baby weight besides the initial weight you lose when you have the baby. Besides that, I had about 20 pounds to lose that just would not budge. I I mean, I vlogged all of my journey trying to lose weight, doing THM, doing alt shift. I don't remember I did a whole I don't think I did a whole 30 at that point, but I was doing all kinds of stuff trying to lose weight, and it was, almost a year, and I hadn't lost anything. Up to that point, it had been only 9 months, but then I didn't lose weight quickly after I went to see the doctor. So it took a year before the weight even started dropping off at all. So anyways, I had the sleep difficulties, the extra weight, I had memory problems. This was so frustrating, and it still is, because I still struggle with it a little bit, and I'll talk about that a little more. But you know how when you walk into a room to do something, and you get there and you have no idea what you came into the room for? You're like, I know I came in here to get something, or to do something, or to look at something, and then it just completely flies out of your mind. That I was struggling with 10 times a day. And it was so frustrating, because I would go into the garage to get something, and I'd stand there trying to remember what it was that I was in there for, and then I'd have to just end up leaving the garage and continuing to do whatever it was I was doing before and hope I remembered. And sometimes I would remember, and sometimes I wouldn't. It'd be like, I have no idea what I went there for. So that was really, really frustrating. And then also I had hard to control blood sugar. My blood sugar would spike up just from normal amounts of healthy carbs. And I just couldn't control it. It was like I would do all the right things, lower my carb intake and, change up carb timing, all that kind of stuff. And my blood sugar just did not want to respond. And even going low carb for an extended period of time, my blood sugar just was out of control. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I wasn't in crazy diabetic range, but I was in pre-diabetic range, and then kind of right at the edge of the diabetic range. My fasting blood sugar would be in the 90s, sometimes over 100, and that's where it starts to get concerning. So I was like, I really don't want this to get worse, that's for sure, especially because I wasn't eating terrible. I mean, I was eating THM, I was eating really healthy food. You guys know what my regular diet is like. And so to have my blood sugar be, that much out of control with such a healthy diet, I was just like, this is so frustrating. I don't know what to do to control this. So my blood sugar was out of control, and then I had excess hunger. This was so frustrating, you guys. And excess hunger, and then not being satisfied. I would eat, and it was like some satisfaction button was not pushed in my brain, and I feel like I needed to keep eating even though my stomach was full. I wasn't satisfied. And now I refer to this as my HEC being out of check, my hunger, energy, and cravings being out of check, and that would be the hunger and cravings piece of that. I've talked about that when I talk about Jade Teta and metabolic effect and their approach. That has been really helpful for me. I'll put a link to a card to a video where I talked about that a little more. But my hunger was just out of control, and I just didn't feel like I could get satisfied on a normal amount of food. It's like my body was telling me to eat more, even though I didn't really need more energy. And then the last symptom that I had was high cholesterol. And I had high cholesterol when my doctor had run my labs before. And then when I went to her with all these symptoms and asked her what the heck is going on with me, what she did was run a bunch of labs again. So she reran the cholesterol and thyroid. I did an entire, a full thyroid panel, not just the TSH and the free T4, I believe. We did all of it to make sure that all those numbers were good. And then she tested my folate levels, my vitamin D, my B12, ferritin, and then she tested some antibodies to make sure I wasn't having Hashimoto's, a thyroid autoimmune disease. And then she also did a complete metabolic panel and A1C. So anyways, we got the results back from that, and my thyroid was great. Even all of the numbers from the full thyroid panel were all great, so that was good. No antibodies whatsoever, so I don't have any autoimmune things going on. My folate was good, kind of on the lower end of good, so she recommended a multivitamin that helped with that, with the methylated version of folate, because I do have the MTHFR gene mutation, which is a whole different story. But So the folate was good, but I got a little bit extra just to keep it good. And then vitamin D was good, but still, again, on the lower end of good. So I still supplement with vitamin D to keep my levels up. My B12 was good. My A1C was on the higher end of normal, but it was still in the normal range, and it wasn't terrible. It was just on the higher, I think it was like 5.3 or something, and up to 5.5 is normal, something like that. My ferritin, which is, I believe, stored iron in your body, it was kind of on the lower end of normal again. So she recommended that I eat more red meat or supplement with iron if I'm not eating as much red meat. And then my cholesterol, and that was high when I had gotten it tested before, and so she tested it again, and it was still high. It had gone down a little bit from where it was before, but the ratio hadn't gotten better. It was, my total cholesterol was 227, and my doctor's up on the science as far as cholesterol and heart disease, and so she wasn't worried that high cholesterol was going to cause heart disease necessarily, but she did say that the high cholesterol was concerning, showing that there was something going on that my body wasn't handling well. And that was especially because my LDL was high. My LDL was 169, my HDL was 51, so it was not a good balance there. And then my triglycerides were really great at 35. They were really, really good. But my ratio was 4.5. And I'm not an expert on reading cholesterol panels. You can probably tell by me talking about it, but I'm trying to get it figured out, trying to get better at it. But from my understanding, you want your ratio to be 3.5 or below, and mine was 4.5. So it was high. And then because my LDL was so high, it was concerning. So that the cholesterol was concerning. And then also on my comprehensive metabolic panel, they test sodium and potassium, and my sodium and potassium levels, she said my balance was off, or the ratio was off. And I have been trying to learn about how to read that so I can kind of look at my recent tests and figure it out, but I'm having trouble figuring it all out. But I guess your adrenals regulate your electrolytes, and so if your sodium and potassium is off, it's a sign that your adrenals are not functioning or not, getting the message to do the job that it needs to do. So my sodium and potassium balance was off on the metabolic panel, and then because of the blood sugar difficulties, all those things combined, she said, it sounds like you're struggling with adrenal fatigue, and so we need to support your adrenals and see if that makes a difference with the labs. So as far as what my doctor recommended and what I started doing, she gave me a list of things to do, and it included to increase my consumption of red meat and also take an iron supplement for 3 months to get my ferritin up. And so I did that. And then increase fish consumption, which I still struggle to get a lot of fish in, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better at that. And then increase fiber. She recommended 2 tablespoons of chia seeds or psyllium husk per day, in addition to all the fiber I get from veggies and all that good stuff. So increased fiber, and then an adrenal supplement, and this is the one that I take. Ooh. Oh, it's kind of bright. It's the RLC Labs Adrenal, and I'll put a link down to this below from Amazon. That's where we get it. It seems to be the cheapest there. I took 2 of those in the morning and 1 of them in the afternoon, and it's just a good mix of adrenal supporting herbs. And then also she got me, like I said, on the multivitamin that had the methylated version of folate as well as the methylated version of B12, I believe, because I have the MTHFR gene mutation. And then she also encouraged me to get in, some more exercise in. I was doing my walking, but she encouraged me to get in a little more like HIIT exercise, HIIT training. And she recommended the 7-minute New York workout. If you Google that, you can find that. And I did that for a couple of months before I started doing some other, adding in some different kinds of exercise, because that one got boring after a while. So she also weighed, and she weighed me while I was there, and then I measured as soon as I got home. So we had that to judge, progress as far as weight loss and body change and that. But when she weighed me there at the office, I was in like the low 170s. So I did all of the stuff that she recommended, and I also added some stuff that I learned from the Adrenal Reset diet, which I definitely recommend if you struggle with adrenal fatigue at all. This is a great book. One of the main things that, as far as the dietary recommendations, there's all kinds of stuff in here, so definitely check it out for all of the info. But one of the main dietary recommendations is what he calls carb cycling, which is a little different than what other people call carb cycling. It cycling it throughout your day. So your morning, like breakfast, would be mostly low carb. Then at lunch, you would have a little bit of carbs, like some beans or some sweet potatoes or something like that. And then at dinner, you have your largest portion of carbs, maybe like 3/4 of a cup or so. So it's not like you're going crazy. It's like maybe a 1/4 cup of carbs or no carbs at breakfast, 1/2 a cup at lunch, I think, and then like 3/4 of a cup to a cup at dinner. So it's kind of gradually increasing the carbs throughout the day so that because carbs help your cortisol go down. I think I got that right. And so you want to start with just a little bit in the morning because that's when you want your cortisol high, and then you gradually want it to go down at the end of the day, and that's why you eat more carbs at the end of the day. Anyway, so I started doing that, and as well as some other recommendations from his book, and that definitely seemed to help me. And then also I did the recommendations in the diet cure. There's a portion in here that talks about adrenal issues and their supplement recommendations. So I did those along with, I forget which other one that I did. There's several different tracks of supplements that you can take depending on what your symptoms are, and you take a questionnaire and you figure out which ones you should be working on. And so the adrenals was one of them, and then I did one other one that I forget what it was. But so there's a whole section here on adrenal health and what supplements you should take if you are having adrenal issues. So I added that in as well. So my doctor saw me again in 6 weeks after I started incorporating all those things, and I did them faithfully. And when I came in at 6 weeks, my weight was still the same, which was, gotta admit, frustrating. And but I was down 7 inches, like from my measurements, I was down 7 inches. So I couldn't complain. I knew that my body was changing and my weight was just taking a while to catch up, which is so hilarious how it does that. It has to mess with us, right? So at 6 weeks, that's where I was at. I didn't get labs redone at that point. I went back again at 3 months, and at 3 months, I was down about 10 pounds. So I went from the low 170s to the low 160s, which was very exciting. I was down a total of 16 inches at that point. So I had lost an additional, 9 inches from when I had seen her at 6 weeks. My total cholesterol went down from 227 to 191, which was fantastic. My HDL went down just a little bit, but she said that that's normal because the total went down a bunch, so the HDL is going to go down a little bit. 51 down to 47. My LDL went from 169 to 135, which is good. Still, the LDL is a little high, but it was going in the right direction. And then my triglycerides went up a little bit, but my ratio went down from 4.5 to 4.1, which is good. Like I said, below 3.5 or below is in the healthy range. So I made progress there. And then she said from the comprehensive metabolic panel that my sodium potassium balance was better. So like I said, I don't really know how to read that. And I'm going to be having an appointment soon. So I'm going to ask her about that and try to get the details on so I can figure that out for myself. So that was really good. That was really encouraging. My weight had started dropping. I was feeling fantastic. And things were going well. And so I just got my labs done again. And like I said, I'm going to be going to see my doctor. So I got my labs done and I already have the results. And then I'm going to be going into the doctor to talk about them. As far as cholesterol, so this is at 11 months from when I went to see my doctor the first time, because it is March. I had seen her in May, so it's 10 or 11 months about. And so my total cholesterol was 194, just this most recent one, which is 3 points up from what it was before, which is not very much, pretty much in the same range. But the exciting thing is my HDL went up 10 points, so went from 47 to 57. And HDL is the good cholesterol, so that's a good thing. My LDL went down just a little bit from 135 to 129. My triglycerides just went down a couple of points, 44 to 42, still fantastic. But the exciting thing is my ratio went down to 3.4. So for a 3.5 or below is in the healthy range. So all of a sudden my cholesterol is in the healthy range. So that was really, really exciting. Like I said, I don't know how to read the metabolic panel very well. So I don't know about the sodium-potassium balance. I think it looks like it's about the same as it was the last time I got it tested, so I'll see what she says about that. But also, along with the cholesterol being down, my weight is also down from where it was last time I went to see her. So I started at the low 170s. When I saw her after 3 months, I was in the low 160s, and now I'm in the mid to low 150s. So it's continued to drop in increments there. And I think my total inches lost is around 30 inches at this point from, the different places that I measure, which it's hard for you guys to know really what that means. But for me, it's exciting to look back and see how I have lost continuously through this past year. So I wanted to mention one other book, and this is one that was not available when I was dealing with my adrenal issues. Oh, it's so bright. But it is The Adrenal Thyroid Revolution by Aviva Romm, and you guys know that I talk about her a lot. I love her work and everything she does, and I still haven't finished this book, and I keep trying, and I keep failing to make time for it. But anyways, I love everything she does, and I think this is a great all-in-one package for if you have adrenal or thyroid issues or both. Or even if you don't know if you have adrenal or thyroid issues, this book walks you through like what tests to ask your doctor for, and dietary recommendations, and how to do like a 28-day reset. And it's a fantastic book, I think, for all women. So definitely recommend this. I'm going to keep working my way through it, and definitely will be sharing more words of wisdom from Aviva that I learn from this. But these are the 3 books that I recommend for struggling with adrenal issues. And I will put links to these down below if you want to check any of them out. And then I'll also put a link down to my adrenal supplement that I use. This is just the one that I use, and definitely talk to your doctor before you start anything. Again, this is in no way a recommendation of what you should do. It's just letting you know what I did and where I'm at. So right now, one of the reasons that I got all this information together and wanted to make this video is because I'm currently kind of backtracking and working on doing some of these adrenal reset things again, because I've been noticing some symptoms coming back. And I had been taking my supplements that my doctor had put me on, but I'd kind of gotten lazy with it and kind of weaned myself off of them. And life is always has a certain amount of stress to it, and I feel like it's just been getting to me a little bit more, and I've been having some of the adrenal symptoms coming back. So I've been having the memory thing went away for a long time, and that was really nice. Like, being able to remember what you go in a room for is really nice. But in the last couple of months, I've noticed it picking up a little bit more. And I've noticed that my fasting blood sugar has been in the 90s every once in a while again. And it's just kind of like, I notice those little things creeping, and I don't want it to get out of control again. So I am going to start revisiting some of these habits and supplements that I have learned and that worked really well for me before, and kind of work harder on making it a lifestyle type thing. For example, one of the things in the adrenal reset diet that he talks about is getting sunlight first thing in the morning. And I was doing that very consistently, and it worked out great because it was right at the beginning of the summertime, summertime, and I was able to go out in the morning and drink my coffee out on the porch. And now, it's been cold and rainy and wintry, and that's not something I want to do. So just trying to figure out a way to get more sunlight first thing in the morning, try to work on my carbs, not having so many carbs at breakfast, and kind of slowly building my carbs up throughout the day so it brings my cortisol down throughout the day. Just little things like that. I'm also going to start taking my adrenal support supplements again, just to, give myself the support. It's not a drug, it's a supplement. So it's something that just supports my body doing what it's supposed to do naturally. So I'm just going to do that, kind of give my adrenals some love, and hopefully it will do what it did before, and I will, be in a really good place again, like I was, at the end of the summer time is when I really felt like I was doing really, really good. And I do want to say that I don't feel bad right now. Like I said, I just see these little signs creeping up, and I want to make sure I nip it in the bud before it gets bad. So I don't want you to think that I've, crashed or anything. I'm not having an adrenal crash. Just trying to take care of myself. So that is it for my adrenal fatigue recovery and maintenance story. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope it was clear. Let me know if you have struggled with adrenal fatigue, and if you have overcome it, let me know what worked for you. I would love to hear different people's opinions, because we are all different and different things will work for everybody. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. If there's any questions you have, let me know. I can't guarantee that I will know the answer, because I'm just kind of spouting off what my doctor told me and the things that I've learned from these books here. And so I will definitely, if I don't know the answer, I will point you towards a book or a website or something to get the answer for you. But that's it for me. I hope you guys are all doing great, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.